Here we go. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another My Fantasy podcast from myfantasysportstalk.com. So glad you have joined us once again for another podcast. We're going to talk about a lot today, several different arrays. Actually, we're going to talk about all the three major sports. We're going to hit it all today and play some catch up for you guys, the audience at home for My Fantasy Podcast. So hope you've been checking out the site recently. Dan's draft profiles have started already. It's almost that time. So a lot to talk about there. Baseball draft, MLB draft, fantasy draft, that is coming up real soon for the My Fantasy Sports Talk.com writers and folks, and plus some of you guys. Basketball to talk about. Can anyone beat the Warriors this year? We'll talk about that. And we'll also talk a little AAF football and be joined by our man DDT Dylan Davis Tirado in just a moment. So I am your host, Brandon Reed. My co-host is Daniel Schalk, the man who started this whole thing and runs it. How's it going, boss?
You know, busy times in the Schalk household. We're about to gain a new addition, if for those who don't know. But baby Schalk was due in June, so I did not know that you needed to dedicate a room to a damn baby. I didn't know that, but you do. And I got checklists. I got a list, husband duties, and they've been filling up some time. But I'm glad to sneak away, forget that damn kid for a minute, and be joined with New Breed himself. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, I've heard of this nursery thing that you got to do. Technically, you know, when you're expecting a baby, but and I'm not really the one to talk on this. You know, I'm a single guy, never been married, no kids. So hey, ladies, but so I'm not the one to really speak on this. But from what I've heard, what I've been told is that Dan. That baby's going to be sleeping in your room for the first year and a half or so anyway. So technically he's going to have a room. She, did we find that out yet? I'm sorry, I forgot.
We did. It's a baby girl.
It's a baby girl.
A baby girl.
So you're going to have a pink room.
No, it's not pink. I already put my foot down on that. So llama themed room. That's what we're doing for the nursery. And yeah, so we're making up this whole nursery room, but the kid's not even going to stay in there, like you said, for the first year and a half. So I don't get it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
but you got to rush and get it painted and decorated and fixed all up though. So. But yeah, so man, I don't know how you're going to keep up with baseball and daddy duties late at night. It's going to be a long summer for you.
West Coast games is what I'm hoping for, you know, because Astros, they're going to be playing at like 10:30 Eastern. So hopefully my daughter, you know, will get up and I can watch the game. So it's not too bad. I'm hoping for it. So I don't know.
So if you're really at liberty or have permission to talk about or feel comfortable talking about, what kind of names are we looking at from you and Marissa? Do you have a top 3, top 5? I mean, what's going on there?
We already have the name.
Oh,
we have the name picked out, but we don't have the spelling. We have not agreed on the spelling of it. So it's a debate in the Schalk household. I don't even know if I should say it. We're telling, you know, close friends and family, but I don't know. I didn't have the wife's permission to come on and
understand
say it, but
it
has been. It's we can talk off camera, Brandon. But you know these MFST people, they're thirsty. They're thirsty for some rumors, and you know as soon as I say that, the Twitterverse will be crazy. So we're gonna have to calm down on that.
Well, you should talk to me after the show then, because I took etymology in high school, so I'm good with like words and letters. So maybe I can help you out there. You know,
I thought that was for insects. Wasn't that insect?
Etymology. What's the study of words? I took it in high school. No,
that might be it. I think insects is like entomology, something weird like that. I was just messing with you. That was my bad version of insects into your. I don't know.
Etymology. I'll put it on the old
etymology. Yeah.
Put it in the old Google machine. Etymology. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
ETYMOLOGY.
I was thinking entomology. Right. I think that's insects or something.
I gotcha.
So. Bees, maybe bees.
So we got all that to talk about today. Fantasy draft again. Do we have all the spots solidified in the myfantasysportstalk.com baseball fantasy league this year?
All 14 of them, yes. Yep. And 14. Some new writers have joined us. So that's, yeah, we're going deep.
Championship's going to be harder this year.
It's, it's been more popular. I mean, we're getting guys like Casey Birch, and I don't know if he's messaging you.
No, I've lost all communication with Casey since the trade deadline passed. My feelings are a little hurt, Casey. I used to be hearing from you 17 times a day. But what's up, man? Where's the love?
Well, his love is spread to me, and what he's doing is Casey's a smart guy. He's a writer for the site, but he's also an engineer, and he just does smart things with numbers, and he's plugging in our scoring system, and he's making algorithms based on players' stats and who he should take in this league. So he's coming at me hard with some of that info, but you got to get prepared. He's a new one, and he's coming in with algorithms and different things like that. So it's going to be a competitive league this year.
Another fun fact about our friend and writer, Casey Birch from the site, is he makes contacts, apparently, because I posted something about ordering from 1-800 Contacts, and Casey was like, hey, man, what's up? Buy from me. I make them. So definitely a smart guy with a lot of stuff going on and just a trade flipper in the NBA season this year. So, but that's we only got a couple more weeks left in the NBA fantasy season. So, but we're going to hear from Nick Pertins later in the show. We got some mailbag questions, so we'll hear from our friend and fellow fantasy player Nick Pertins a little bit later. We're going to talk some basketball. Have a question from a fan of the site, David Newell, and also going to talk fantasy baseball, of course. Have a question from Martin Curran coming up on today's show. So go ahead and invite that other guy, DDT. I've got a bone to pick with this guy. I need him.
I do too, and my bone's going to be a separate bone from yours, but he's going to get double boned tonight. So it's going to happen. He didn't hear that, but
that doesn't sound right. I don't know how much that out.
All right, maybe you'll add. You know what you should do? Just put a bleep. Just put that bleep there.
Double bone.
And then what you do is then you bleep my bleeps. So now it's all going crazy. But yeah, so we're gonna surprise him too. It's gonna be a surprise double. We'll leave it. But so we're waiting. The invite is sent out. Maybe he's practicing his stand-up routine. But that's what I'm gonna pick about him. DDT. He's a he's a Renaissance man. That's what we'll say.
He is.
He's a Renaissance man. From soccer to, I guess he's a Knicks fan. If he doesn't like to do his fantasy basketball lineup, I'll tell you that. And,
I think he's done with the Knicks, from what I've heard. Check that out on the site.
True. Yeah.
Stand up. And
stand-up comedy.
Also keeps up with politics, very outspoken on politics. So, very well-rounded guy. But from what I'm hearing, I believe he's going to get double penetrated today. Is that
I didn't say anything about it. But penetration. You took it a step further there. But okay. Where's DDT?
The hate is coming from both sides, is what I was saying.
Yes,
I know where your mind's going, but
right there.
So, man, tell me again, and for the folks at home too who are going to be participating, when is our fantasy baseball draft again? Because you told me the date and I forgot, but it seems like it was pretty damn early.
It's not that early. It's Sunday, March 10th.
That's early. That's next Saturday.
It's 12 days away. So
yeah,
and it's a Sunday. So if you're there Saturday, you will be drafting by yourself, and it would be the 9th.
Oh, sorry, but yeah. Either way, you know how I feel about drafts so far ahead of the regular season start. So
do you know the regular season starts in March?
Like March 28th, 9th, 30th.
28th. Okay. It's closer.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's like 1 or 2 games. It doesn't really start till April 1st. But so is baseball this? But baseball is not the same way as football is. So you don't really have to worry about guys going down in injuries ahead of the regular season opener, though, in baseball. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. There's definitely guys that can go down. Tommy John is always a throwaway. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little risky, but at the same time, when you're working with 14 schedules, you just set a date and you say deal with it.
That's true.
So that's that's ultimately what it is. So, but I'm looking forward to it. We haven't mentioned that I was the reigning champ. I thought you were going to sneak it in there.
I forgot.
Well, I did beat you in the championship.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
I cheated all year long.
So, anyways, but yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it.
So we're gonna have a acquisition limit this year. I take it, which it's from what you said, the way it's set up, it's manageable. I believe it's manageable. It's not like it was last year, but I was just working harder than everyone else. Can you give me that at least? I mean, I didn't watch any baseball, but I knew what to do, and I have a different strategy going into the draft this year because I know what's important.
Yeah, you did a great job. Very commendable. Your first year, and like you said, you didn't even really watch it, which was thing in itself, but you should watch this year because it's going to be a great season. Looking forward to it. And right before that, the week before that, we'll just transition real quick, is March Madness. So the best time of year in sports is coming up, March Madness, and then the third baseball season.
And I don't want to get into this with DDT because I know he has no idea what I'd be talking about. But hey, how about those Memphis Tigers, man? Picked up a good win. First of all, I don't know if you called it over the weekend. Battling back, they were down like just 27-4 or something in Wichita State. And came back and won, and then a big win over Temple last night as well. So keep in mind the American Athletic Conference tournament will be in Memphis this year, and this team is totally different in Memphis than it is on the road. So there's a chance there. There's an outside chance. I don't know that this team is really worthy or capable of winning an NCAA tournament game, but if they were to make a magical run in Penny's first year and make the dance, that is like all-time great moment, that alone.
Yeah, because I just looked at Joe Lunardi's projections, and Memphis is out. They aren't in, but I think
they have no quadrant. Well, 1 through 2 wins or whatever. They don't have any quality wins really at all. But
yeah, that Canisius win didn't get too much of a resume booster at the Advocare Invitational.
I'll tell you what, off topic real quick, Buffalo, I saw Buffalo, it was a story you did on the site, but there was the picture on the site is Buffalo has a dude that looks like Zion. Dude is ripped and stacked, number 33.
Nick Perkins, yeah, he's their sixth man. It seems like he's been playing there for 17 years. But yeah, he's a beast. He doesn't start, but he finishes, and he's probably their second best player and reigning sixth man of the year in the MAC conference. So UB's, I mean, they beat number 4 Arizona in the Madness last year, and they're going to be a 5 seed, I would say, this year. I mean, they've been ranked in the top 25 all season. So I'm predicting them around a 5 seed. That's what I expect. And they can do some damage. So that's a dangerous team, definitely.
I don't think our man Orlando Torres is going to make the podcast tonight. I'm not even really sure about DDT. If you've sent the invite already, I don't know what. I
think he's having some Ryan Thomas technical difficulties.
Oh man, it's a New York thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Orlando is going to make it. He, they say everything is bigger in Texas, and apparently so are the work schedules and shifts. So Orlando works his ass off. So I don't think he's going to be able to make it tonight. But speaking of the AAF, he contributed with an article. There's a San Antonio team, and I guess he's following them. So he contributed with the AAF. So a little bit of everything on the myfantasysportstalk.com website, if you so inclined to choose to do that. So and check out the AAF. So, but a lot of stuff going on here. Just kind of going through the site right now. What kind of sticks out to you other than your draft profiles, which go ahead and plug those too, Dan, because they have started. And what I'm noticing about the NFL draft this year is that it appears to be pretty front defensive loaded heavy. A lot of the guys you brought out, which I believe you're kind of bringing out your top prospects at first, from what I gather, and I that's what I believe, seems to be a pretty heavy defensive loaded draft this year, or should be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, defensive line specifically, you can argue the first 10 picks can all be defensive linemen. I mean, that's how deep this draft is. And defensive linemen, edge rushers, those types. But yeah, it's heavy defensive talent wise, and the scouting reports, draft profiles are coming up. I've changed how I've done them a little bit formatting wise this year to kind of enhance the user experience with some stats and some different things, not boring you down with my typing of analysis, but more just getting you the information of that player. So we're bringing them out slowly. It's been usually by now, I think I already have like 50 prospects covered. So we're getting 10, 20 at a time, and we're going to get there. We're going to cover them all like we usually do. So My Fantasy Sports Talk is your place for the NFL draft, something I love, just getting ready, watching game film. So that's going to continue. And then the entertainment section, we'll just give them a little love because they're always busting out their television show recaps and different things, and their articles are more popular than some of the ones that we throw out there. So they always do a great job. So the site is bumping, and March is going to be a big month with the madness and baseball season and sweeps, or I don't know if it's even sweeps, but you know what that's like. Sweeps, right? Sweeps
weeks. Yeah. Of course. Also, I was going to mention, because I know we got a lot of New York area fans with so many New York writers, yourself being housed there, Dylan being in New York as well, Auburn area, and then, of course, Ryan Thomas, Thomas Take. He contributed recently this week, and so if you have any Bills fans out there in the area that he did his own Buffalo Bills 2019 NFL mock draft, that's on the site right now as well.
Yeah. Shout out to T-Take. But he actually closed his mouth for once and put pen to paper, which is it's good to see. Good to see Ryan. So and it was actually a pretty well written piece. So he's part of Bill's Mafia, sadly, and it's a good piece. A lot of players that I would not want to see on the Bills, mainly because I like the players and I don't like the Bills.
So that's out there right now. And also want to give a shout out to our newest writer, David Jaquays, who put out, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he has got a little series here, or at least one of his introductory articles is talking about a weekly daily fantasy site review, and that's Prize Picks. Have you checked out the Prize Picks yet, Dan?
I did. I haven't actually played in it, but it looks interesting. There's all these daily fantasy sites that are popping up, and it's they're not very well known, but there's still a chance to win a lot of money. And that's, I think, what David kind of does for a living. I know he's helped program some of the apps and do a lot of the marketing for them. And now he's contributing with us with basically getting us to know these daily fantasy sites that are out there. So it's definitely cool. Great articles, and great to have him, on the team. And look forward to I think he said every Monday is when he wants to push out new daily fantasy sites and apps to the readers. So that's great, and he's doing great work.
Yep. I love that kind of stuff. As I had a little bit of hot streak out there, I shared it with you guys a couple of weeks ago with the fantasy basketball. As man, in a 3-day period, I won $225 on DraftKings playing fantasy basketball. My balance is down to 19, but 30 of that was lost in one night because Klay Thompson was a healthy scratch the last second, no warning whatsoever. So that sucked. So that was 30 of it gone right there. But it's a daily grind. But we love playing fantasy sports. And that's what we do here, myfantasysportstalk.com. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We've got questions that from the audience. I'm not sure if DDT will make it or not, but we'll save some of the stuff that he wants to talk about for the back end. I do want to give DDT a shout out, though. I think he was probably watching the podcast live on our YouTube feed and knew that he was going to get double penetrated. And he's like, no, my ass ain't going. So he may have got scared. I don't know, but I do want to give him a shout out, though. His stand up, I want to talk to him about that. Deal Torado, he's doing good. Looking for some footage of that. Maybe we can combine that and start entertainment piece right there. For Dylan.
That was part of my boning. That was part of my boning. You basically you just stop the double bone. You can just single bone now because that's exactly what I'm about. Let's get some footage of DDT. He does a great job marketing himself, and I believe that DDT's a funny guy, but I want to see it. Tell me a joke. That's what I was gonna tell me a joke, DDT, right now. And now he's not even anywhere to be seen. But tell me a joke and then put it on the site, and then he can be his own entertainment section, the DDT entertainment section. I'm ready to go. So yes, shout out to him. I totally just stole that from you, but you were hitting my points. So yes.
What is the deal with setting fantasy lineup? Can someone tell me? That's an inside joke. I hope you show up, DDT, because you do. You deserve a double boning because of some stuff you pulled in the fantasy basketball league this year. Malachi David reaping the benefits from that, but we'll save that for another day if he doesn't make it. But Dill Torado on the stage. Word. So let's go ahead and start some fantasy baseball talk because our fantasy baseball draft is coming up. TikTok, God dog, I guess I got to start studying here. But so this one comes from Martin Curran. Who are sleepers or guys you were targeting later in baseball drafts this year? And so, Dan, I'm going to leave this one to you. I got a particular story here pulled up, a review here from your guys at Fantasy Pros. I'll talk about in the back end. But I don't know if you even done fantasy. You may have even had a legit fantasy draft already this year.
Yeah, I had one last night that I did, and I'm actually involved in a slow draft right now that's taking the place. I think I may have mentioned this to the audience last year, but it's basically a slow fantasy baseball draft that we do every year. It's a Keeper Dynasty League, and it basically happens over the course of like 2 weeks. Like we get 3 hours to pick, and pauses overnight. But I'm in the middle of that right now, and that's the light of my life. And I love it. I love slow drafts. It keeps you into it, for a long period of time.
So what is the draft time frame again, though? How long do you have to make your pick?
3 hours.
So what if you come up at 3:15 in the morning? What the hell?
So it pauses at 9 p.m. at night. So
okay.
You don't have the time stops and then it starts again in the morning. So, but yeah, they're great. You should get in on it, and I know you will, Brandon. I know it.
Okay, we'll see about that. Mm-hmm. But so hey, we got our man DDT Davis Torado.
Oh my God! Sorry about that.
You have no idea what we've been talking about. You'll have to watch the version.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch it. I'm sorry. I literally screwed up my phone because I couldn't get my laptop to start, and I'm like, I got problems. I got situations over here, but I'm here.
More than
some guys.
You'll have to go back and watch what we said about you, but I'm glad.
It was dirty.
It was very dirty. It was unintentional.
Oh God, this is not consensual. I didn't. Oh God,
not consensual. No, it wasn't. No, you gave up those rights about 3 weeks ago. So you were.
Oh, y'all mad about that trade? That I haven't been doing my basketball stuff. So and clearly you decided to throw a witch hunt at me like a Donald Trump thing and completely ostracize me to the entire community of readers and listeners that we have. I'm sorry. I don't like to play for a loser, and yet I'm a Knicks fan. So, see how that's going.
Your record's worse than the Knicks, buddy.
I know. I got a shot at that top 3 spot more than any other team in the NBA does.
If there was a vote for a suspension for 1 year, you're getting my vote for suspension for 1 year for what you
don't care. I don't care.
Hold on. Oh, this just in. DDT accepts the trade. He trades away Clint Capella and Buddy Hield for Boban Bogdanovic. So
wait, when was this?
I'm just saying that's probably some stuff you would have done.
Listen, I was trying to keep up with it, but I had so much going on top of this, and I really have had a lot going on since the last time I've been on here that I honestly lost track of it, couldn't keep up with it, and I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I have no risk in this at all. I'm not losing anything. I'll just throw it out there. Whatever. You guys can have a free win off of me. I was thinking about you, Brandon. I was thinking about your desire to win. I figured, hey, when he plays me, he gets a free win.
Possibly, but I would have rather had Steph Curry, to be honest with you. Had I known,
everybody would have had Steph Curry. That was kind of the icing on the cake. Was like, hey, at least no one will have Steph Curry.
I'm not even proposing trades with you because you were 1-14. I'm thinking, okay, he ain't even setting his lineup. So
no, just I'm focusing on the baseball season because I'm more salty about that and fantasy football when it comes around.
Are you in the fantasy baseball league with us?
Yeah, I am. I definitely signed up for that. I'm definitely going in for that because I'm mad. I think I finished third last year.
Yeah, you did. He did have a good team last year. It wasn't as good as mine, but yeah.
No, yours. Oh my God, yours was a nightmare to face. And not only that, I remember last year I had so many injuries come up. I was like, oh, great, there it goes again. So.
Okay, so before we move on, great timing though. I'm glad you're in the fantasy baseball league because we're gonna have we have a question here that we didn't really get into before you came on. So great timing. But Dan, what did you want to say about Dylan and to Dylan's face while he's here? Either whether it be about
yeah, we were coming at you double. You'll just have to go back. You'll just have to go back.
Man.
It's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
It's been a very long time. I missed you guys a lot.
Yeah, it's been a while. You've been going off becoming a funny man, man with your stand-up comedy.
I am a very funny man now.
So here's the thing. I would like to believe that, but we need proof. And
I know.
I saw yesterday that footage is coming. So what I'm saying is you give me that footage or you put out that footage and we will put it on the website and we will make a section dedicated to DDT stand-up comedy and put it on there. And the MFST people will come love you if you're funny enough. So let's see it.
If I'm funny enough. I do have footage. I'm currently in the process, literally, before I came on here, of actually setting it up, putting it up on Facebook. But now that you have given me the invitation to promote myself on your platform, which I truly appreciate, I will expedite this process immediately, post this video chat between you two fellow gentlemen. Well, I say gentleman because, Dan, you're the only one that really, honestly, I respect. Brandon, you can just, go screw off with your basketball. What a suspend me from fantasy basketball.
Put on your shoes when you step in the public library, mister.
But no, I will get it out. I have I think 4 videos left to put together and just kind of segue into that. So I'm almost done. I'll have it up hopefully by the end of tonight.
I don't know why you didn't think about this before, honestly.
I don't know why I didn't either. I honestly have been going through a lot because there's been so many transitions and so many big events happening in my life since I've last been on the podcast, since I've been able to honestly put out content. So now that everything's settled down, I now have time. Lots of time.
What would you like to talk about as far as these big events in your life?
Well, one, I'm a stand-up comic now, which is, I can't believe I'm saying this. This might actually work. It's taken off in a big way. I've done, I think, 6 big shows, big in terms of oh wow, I've gotten a good spot. I've headlined a show last time, which was great. I'm doing a show. If you guys remember the TV show All That from the 90s, I'm doing a show with 2 of the cast members from All That and a reunion. It's a 25-year reunion since they're starting up the new All That program with Kenan Thompson as executive producer. I'm doing a show with them in the end of March. And I've also signed up to do a couple of shows down in New York City, Buddha Comedy Club, Laugh Factory, and Gotham Comedy Club. So hopefully they'll get back to me on that. And let's see what else. Gotten to travel a lot in the recent year. Went to a lot of places. California, Florida, just general areas.
And I know sticking with the stand-up theme, though, but it could be an inspirational story because I know you were down after the first time or two. Thought you bombed. I mean,
yeah.
But you stuck with it. You were picked right back up. A lot of your friends, kind of gave you words of encouragement that I saw myself. So, and then you started hitting home runs, and so now look, all this is happening. So, very inspirational story to anyone who wants to pursue a dream. That don't let the initial process get you down.
No, and more importantly, the biggest thing I could say about this experience is that I did not know I was this funny, especially in a setting where I have to do it in front of people, because actually I'm not very good at, believe it or not, I'm not great at talking with other people. I'm not saying I'm an introvert, but I'm not the best extrovert, if you could put it that way. But literally doing stand-up has literally been an eye-opening experience as to how awkward I am as a person and how so funny it is for me to tell all these stories and have all these thoughts and ideas and be it pushed out onto people who are literally just taken back by honestly what I know and then just throwing a spin on it to make it funny. I've had crowds in tears, which is honestly been the most welcoming sight. So I'm very committed to this. I really want to turn this into I wouldn't say I don't want to beat Kevin Hart. I want to be better than him, because because I don't think he's very funny, but I kind of want to.
Shots fired.
If this video ever resurfaces later, yeah, Kevin Hart, I think you suck. I would take you on in a comedy rap battle or any particular rap battle or any particular battle in terms of, whatever, because I don't care how strong you are. You are still 5'1" leprechaun height. So I still tower over you at 5'9", which is not the average tall height of a black male, considering if everyone in the NBA is 6'6". So other than that, I really just want to take this to great heights. I really want to be honestly a famous comedian. I'd love to do this as a full-time gig the rest of my life. One day I just decided, let me just try this, because I literally didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, you know what? There's a show. They said I could come in there and do something. I did 20 minutes and I got a standing ovation. I was like, yep, figured it out. This works. Let me pursue this crazy, absolutely no profit at all in like the first probably 3, 4, 5 years I do this, but I've stuck with it and it's actually getting me noticed, which is a big surprise. I haven't done a lot of shows. I haven't been doing this long, and it's been extremely successful. So I'm very happy with results.
We wish you luck, and we also have Orlando Torres, which has dabbled into the
I know. I owe him footage. He's been asking for it for months. I owe him footage.
Y'all could collaborate, and we have quite a thing going on here at myfantasysportstalk.com. But I'll tell you this. I was laughing my ass off, and I was in tears when I saw that trade that you accepted. But anyway, let's talk fantasy baseball since we're all involved in it.
We'll talk about that off camera.
We will. No, it's done. It's done. It's over.
All right.
You're suspended.
I'm not sorry.
You're suspended. All right. Martin Curran wants to know, who are the sleepers you guys are targeting later in fantasy baseball drafts? Dan was addressing that. He's had a draft already. So, Dan, through the fantasy draft process so far this year through mocks or through your slow draft, and you may not even be to that point yet, but who are some of the key guys that could be targeted later in rounds that could be considered sleepers?
Yeah, some guys that I have my guy on. The first guy, I've had him on this list for the last 3 years, and now he's finally healthy, and I think he's going to get the playing time he deserves. And that's David Dahl, the outfielder for the Colorado Rockies. Obviously, playing in Colorado is always a good thing, and he has power, speed. He just hasn't had the health. So I think he's going to be healthy this year and put it all together. So that's a guy you can get kind of mid to late rounds. Another guy that I have is in New York, but with the Mets, and that's Pete Alonso. He hit 42 jacks last year in the minor leagues. He's not going to get that in the majors, but if he hits 30, I wouldn't be surprised. He's not going to give you the best batting average, or probably around 250. But he's going to put up the home runs, and sometimes that's all you need in a points league like what ours is. He's definitely going to be a better player than in a roto league where it's all categories. Another guy, pitcher wise, that I have drafted in each of the leagues so far is Tyler Glasnow. He pitches for the Rays, but he was a high prospect for the Pirates. Got traded midway through last year. I think he's going to really come on and shine and get into his prime. There's some others that I'm keeping my eye on, but obviously two of you are in the league with me, so I can't give you all of my secrets.
That's what I got my pen ready. Come on, Dan. You gave me Shohei Ohtani last year. What's my Shohei Ohtani for this year?
Okay, I will match that because I'll give you. His name is Kikuchi, and he is a pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, lefty. He's not as highly touted as Ohtani, but he signed a $43 million contract in the offseason, and he's going to pencil in as probably the number 2 starter in Seattle. So Kikuchi, remember that name.
So I did pull up. I was kind of interested in just, hey, because this works this way for football and basketball. So my mind kind of went to, well, so what's some of these rookies that are flying under the radar? I know you mentioned New York, the Yankees, not the Mets, do have a few of them themselves, but also a guy that I was looking at that could be, should Bryce Harper be moved out of Washington, that Victor Robles may be the guy to take over his spot and could be a star rookie to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I like that. He's been a top prospect the last few years. We kind of saw it last year with Juan Soto. He came out of nowhere to take the National League by storm, and Robles has the exact same qualities and consistency in his game to definitely do that. So I like that. That's a good pick there, Brandon. Good pick.
I know. but my secret is out. But yeah, anyway, so that comes from the Fantasy Pro site. You can look that article up and check that out. So they kind of broken that down, which is always key going into drafts. Who are the rookies that are going to shine? I picked up one in basketball, Trae Young, doing pretty damn good right now. I like it. Not sure if it's going to lead to a championship, but there's always rookies out there. DDT, have you had a chance to study this? Because I don't know if you've been informed. You probably were, but I don't know if you realize that the draft is a week from Sunday. So we got to get on board with this thing. You got any kind of sleepers or been studying yet?
I have been studying for the past week now. I've kind of dipped into certain ESPN's. Honestly, I'm looking at their rankings because I'm kind of seeing how they're setting things up. I've also taken the time to kind of look back on last year's team because I honestly went into last year's team with a very different strategy than how I'd done previously. I focused on not specifically how many points they scored, but where their biggest stats in terms of scoring in our league would affect the points themselves. So who has the most efficiency, who was on good runs towards the end of the year, coming into next year, playing situations, if there's a platoon in a certain position. So I can't really give in terms of like players I would want to draft. I just know my strategy is I'm not looking for the highest points in a player with like if I get to a pick and someone's available. I'm specifically looking in terms of like hitters. I want to know how many home runs, what's your OBP. Batting average can be batting average, but your OBP, your home runs, can you put it in the field? Can you get me points? In terms of pitching, I want to look at how many wins you got, what's your ERA, and more importantly, how many strikeouts you have. Just to know that you're efficient in getting that out, where I can't always rely on you, but I know consistently I can set myself up with a lineup every day that can get me points. As long as I'm sticking to that as I did last year, I think I can make a better run towards the end of the season, where honestly, I'm also going to be very conscious about injuries because obviously in a 162 game MLB season, none of your players are going to sit through the entire year without getting hurt, especially when you're me and you really wanted to draft a lot of Yankees thinking they'd be healthy all the way through the year. And my God, I don't even know how we even managed to get into the playoffs with the injuries that we had. So I'm just looking specifically for healthy, consistent players that will stay on the field as much as possible and put as many points on the board as I can get.
We also have a new addition to the league this year. Ryan Thomas is going to be joining the league as well. So we're going to have pretty much all the guys, Dan, joining the league.
I'm in his Yahoo league.
Yeah.
You joined it. I just can't, man.
I'm literally doing both. I've never done Yahoo baseball before, so I honestly, it's just something new to try. I want to see because it's a keepers league, and I've never done that with any fantasy league I've ever done. So something I want to try and learn going forward. How keepers work in different leagues and stuff like that. So just to figure out why not.
So we'll try to get back together and maybe do another podcast with maybe a fantasy baseball study guide. By that time, Dan will probably have gone through another couple of drafts, or at least his slow draft will have ended by then, right before we do our fantasy draft, or maybe do a catch up after our fantasy draft coming up on the March 10th, Sunday, March 10th, Dan?
Sunday, March 10th.
Yep. So there we go. So let's move on and talk about the NBA, which I know we all love. This question comes from David Newell. You actually think Denver has a shot against the Dubs or anyone in the West? Who you guys got coming out of the East? Multiple questions here from David. So go ahead, DDT. So first of all, let's take it question by question. Is Denver for real? Can they really beat Golden State? Or at least get to maybe if the seedings hold the way they are now, 1-2, and they meet in the Western Conference Finals, is this legit?
Well, I mean, I'll think about this one from the perspective of think about what Denver's run's going to be. They start as a 2 seed. 7th seed, I think, will be like the Spurs or something like that. One of those bottom 6, 7, 8 teams. Maybe the Lakers, if somehow LeBron can elevate them into that 8th, 7th spot. I don't think it's very possible. But anyway, that should be a relatively maybe 4-1, 4-2 series. Maybe a sweep. I give them a chance to do that. Then they move on to the next round, 3rd seed, which they would probably have to face maybe Houston, I would say at that point. And that's where I'm kind of wondering if they'll end there. I don't really know if they can even get to the Warriors if they're facing off against someone like Houston, or, if they get to the Western Conference Finals and they face Golden State. The only thing they can really hope for is that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green are hurt or limited in how many minutes they can play.
Didn't even mention DeMarcus Cousins.
And DeMarcus, whatever. DeMarcus, $6 million contract to get a ring. Ain't worth nothing. Anyway, that's a side opinion. But I do love what Denver has done this year. They have honestly, under the radar, Nikola Jokic and Gary Harris, Murray, all of those guys have really taken that club to a new height where they may not be a Warrior beating type team, but if the Warriors weren't as strong as they were, I'd give anyone in the Western Conference in that particular ranking a chance, and especially Denver. I just don't think they have the pieces to get past such a strong scoring team as Golden State. I would love to see them go at it in a 7-game series. I just don't think it's enough. I really think the Warriors are too strong in the West, and the only competition they really have to get knocked out is the Houston Rockets, based on James Harden's performances and how he's kept that team together. But I don't count Denver out, just not yet. Maybe they need a couple more pieces, and I think next year they can definitely make a run at it.
Well, that's what I don't quite get the magic of Denver, is that how they're doing this. Of course, Nikola Jokic, he's a beast down low. You also got Paul Millsap playing good too. But other than that, it's just a bunch of scrappy guys playing defense. You mentioned Jamal Murray. You also got Will Barton, my guy from Memphis, Beasley, Torrey Craig. All those guys, they can score. They can fill it up. They've been hurt a lot this year too, in and out. And Will Barton stays in that role of in and out. So if they could all come together, but they just played defense, one of the best defenses in the Western Conference, only giving 106 points a game, I believe. And then they have the beast down low. So, but other than that, their bench is kind of thin, in my opinion. And I just don't know that it's necessarily built for the playoffs. And if you look at their schedule so far right now, the East has been killing them. They have I don't know what their record is against the East. You have to look at their schedule, but it is horrible. The East.
I think even the Knicks beat them.
Brooklyn beat them twice, swept them.
Brooklyn beat them twice,
swept them. They've lost games to Philadelphia,
Miami, Philly. I think Milwaukee's beaten them. Boston's beaten them. Yeah, you're right. I've just noticed that too. They really have lost to a lot of teams in the East.
They went through a stretch earlier in the year, I think in November, where they lost 6 of 7. They went through a stretch recently where they lost 3 in a row to the East Coast. Now, they were into the Eastern Conference. They were on the East Coast playing 3 straight games in like 5 days, but they lost all 3 of them to East Coast teams, Eastern Conference teams. So, man, I just don't know. I don't know if they're for real yet. They're holding and maintaining longer than I thought they would. My opinion is I don't know, with only about 20, 23, 24 games left in the season or so.
23, I think.
But I look for Houston to keep climbing and exceeding teams like Portland that are above them and Oklahoma City that are above them, because Clint Capella is just coming back, and Clint Capella is a huge part of that team, in my opinion. They're just getting healthier as long as they can stay healthy. So, Dan, let's hear from you. Denver is your former team. I don't know if you still have any interest in Denver or not, but let's hear from you about the Nugs.
Yeah, if George Karl was coaching them, they'd still be my team. I'll preface this by saying nobody is beating the Warriors. The Warriors are going to the championship. But if there is a team, I actually like Denver ahead of a team like the Rockets. Tupolita. You say a thin bench, Brandon. I think it's a deep bench. They have 9 guys basically averaging double figures in scoring. And like you said, they play defense. So I don't think they will. Maybe they can pull a game or two from the Warriors. But I wouldn't say a Western Conference Finals appearance is out of the question. In that series, if they played each other, Nikola Jokic is the second best player on the court in that game. If those two teams match up, only Kevin Durant I think is better than him, and I think he's that good. He's almost averaging a triple double, so he is the better version of Russell Westbrook, and he's not even a point guard. So. I don't think they have a chance, but I do like him. I like him as a deep team that plays team basketball, which you don't see much in the NBA anymore. So I like him, but I don't think they would ever beat him in a 7-game series.
I guess I just think the playoffs are a different animal, and matchups may become a problem. Is Trey Lyles coming off the bench really going to be strong enough to help propel you and maintain a lead coming down the stretch? I don't know. Is guys like Juan Hernan Gomez, Monty Morris, and possibly Isaiah Thomas will be healthy and playing by then as well too. But I just don't know that. I don't know for sure. But it's hard to beat the firepower of Golden State. It really is. So. But I really do think I do look for Houston to climb and maybe eclipse a few folks. I think they're just going to probably get it together now, as they haven't because Clint Capella's been missing pretty much the whole season. So I don't know. But so I guess we're saying the answer to the first part of that question is that none of us really think that Denver would beat Golden State in the playoffs if it came down to that 1 and 2.
Not yet.
So let's talk about the East. This is kind of hard for me, man. Milwaukee's kind of been leading the charge so far and is top of the standings, but and I look at the other teams that I think are seriously, possibly contenders here, David, is that it's really a 3-team race. I'm excluding Boston right now. And I know my man Colby's probably going to be mad, but they just haven't got it. And to me, Kyrie is one of those guys, almost like Carmelo, a little bit of a chemistry killer. When he's in the mix, I don't think you're going to have your best success as a team. Gordon Hayward, I don't know what the hell happened to him. I don't even think he's starting and probably shouldn't be. But it's a 3-team race to me: Milwaukee, Philly, and Toronto. If Philly can get this together now, Milwaukee has they've only played one time so far, and that was way back in October. Milwaukee and Philly, that is. So, does Philly not have the best roster by far in the East right now? Am I mistaken? They just got to get it together.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have the most talent, but I watched them play in a win over the Lakers a couple of weeks ago when they just got Tobias Harris, and I did not like I just don't like their chemistry. I don't think there's too many pieces that are just playing pieces. They're not playing team basketball, like I mentioned, the way the Nuggets are playing. And yeah, you can win on the talent alone in the NBA like that, but I don't think you're going to make an NBA Finals with it's just not cohesive when they're on the court together. Jimmy Butler, for as great as he was defensively and with the Bulls and, how he played with those great Chicago teams, he looks like he's a dick on the court. He just doesn't care about the people around him. I mean, it was apparent, and Ben Simmons was the same way. And Ben Simmons actually attempted a 3-pointer in that game I watched, and it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. So until he can actually get a jump shot, that team is just not. I don't think can make the NBA Finals. I would take the Raptors over them. I would take the Bucks over them. I would even say, watch out for the Brooklyn Nets to surprise and maybe upset a team or two in that Eastern Conference. The Pacers have a good record, but without Oladipo, I have them written off. I'm with you, Brandon.
They've been able to maintain. I really am. But I give them no chance.
And I'm with you on the Celtics. I don't think the Celtics are either. Similar to how 76ers are doing. Boston just doesn't look cohesive out there. So I think it's Bucks, Raptors, and a super, super sleeper, never going to happen team, Nets. I like them.
Yep, I pretty much agree with most of that. Boston and Indiana, I don't have much of a shot there. DDT, what do you think? How's the East playing out?
Well, I really honestly, I share your sentiments on Boston, just to start with them. I came into this question thinking, okay, Milwaukee, Philly, Toronto, and Boston, but then I stopped on Boston because I'm like, to say what you said, Brandon, Kyrie Irving is kind of a chemistry killer. And what I like to call what is happening to Gordon Hayward, I like to call it the Kevin Love effect. When Kevin Love went from the Timberwolves to the Cavaliers, as great of a player as he was and instrumental as he was in getting them a championship, Kevin Love has literally faded from a top 5 player to who cares where Kevin Love plays. And I feel that's what's happened to Gordon Hayward. And it's not because of his injury. In my opinion, I can't believe he came back from that as strong as he has been able to play. But the fact is that Kyrie Irving is honestly not. I'm not trying to say he's a great player, but he's not the best team player. He's a very one-shot, give me the ball, I got it type of player. He dominates the ball. He dominates the possession. he cannot really elevate the people around him to be better. And Boston has such a great team of young talent that it's shocking to me that Kyrie Irving gets to a team that he can call his own and can't elevate the players around him. You look at Philly, it's the same issue. You have Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, and company. Because honestly, I think it's just between them and Joel Embiid. But Joel Embiid's amazing. I think he's honestly in a class of his own of his position. But Ben Simmons is an ego. Jimmy Butler's an ego. They're not team players. You saw Jimmy Butler getting into spats with his coach just when he had just arrived into the team. Like, you've barely even set yourself in there yet. That's a chemistry issue. You saw the same thing in Minnesota with Tom Thibodeau, and you saw the same thing in Chicago when essentially when things were falling apart. He wanted to bail, and I think that's where Jimmy Butler is at right now. I don't think he commits to this team long term. I really don't. I really don't think if Philly gets to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, he will not commit to this team. He will leave. And then you got a situation there.
I think that's a little bit of Kyrie's problem and the Celtics' problem is you've already seen Kyrie talking about next destinations. Who trusts this guy after what he did? I mean, to me, I'm sticking with LeBron. Let's try to do this damn thing. If you really care. But
LeBron is a whole nother problem I want to talk about because
if this was 25, 30, 40 years ago, you would care about winning a ring. And I would say, yeah, I'm going to stick with this dude. But Kyrie wanted to be the man. He wanted to go off on his own. He thought Boston was the place. Now he's already thinking about the next destination because you know what? Jason Tatum is pretty damn good. If you're not getting all the limelight, and you saw what they did without him last year, and I think that hurt his ego. So he's already looking for nation. And Philadelphia definitely does have some of those problems. Yeah. But I look up now and I question Brett Brown as being the man to be able to control all of this. But you look up now and the three major players that I see in the East between Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Toronto, guess what? Brett Brown has the most coaching experience out of all those guys. You have new coaches in Milwaukee, in Budenholzer, and Nick Nurse in Toronto. So I don't know if that plays any role into it or not. That's the different animal in the playoffs that we talk about.
I don't think it does. I think the coaching, because, I mean, honestly, if you want to take an example of experienced coaching, I mean, go back to George Karl. I mean, George Karl is one of the most exceptional NBA coaches of all time. You go to guys like Phil Jackson, exceptional, not the best executive, not the best team put together type guy. George Karl eventually couldn't handle what the Nuggets were trying to put together. Sacramento, the same issue. Brett Brown is an experienced coach. It doesn't mean he can handle egos. Coaches that can handle egos, like Jason Kidd, who were former players, I think they make the best coaches. They know how to reel players in. You want to go to a player who was in the East with the most ego that anyone could deal with, it was Carmelo Anthony, and Mike Woodson, a former player, reels him in, and the Knicks try to have some stability.
Yeah,
have some stability. But Brett Brown and Philly honestly had a team before Jimmy Butler arrived. He had a squad.
Before Tobias Harris, too. I really would value Tobias Harris more on that team than Jimmy Butler, honestly.
I agree. Tobias is playing the best basketball, I think, of his life. I've never seen him play this well. He's honestly been exceptional. But again, like you said, Milwaukee and Toronto, my opinion, will be meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I don't really know who to give the edge there. They're so evenly matched and so talented on both sides of the ball. They're very sound Eastern Conference teams. Personally, in my opinion, I think either one of them will get the Warriors a 7-game series. I don't think you'll see a sweep like LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers. But in the end, I will remain with you guys. It's a 3-team race. But if somehow Boston and Kyrie Irving and company just have a knack for just pulling out a performance.
Brad Stevens.
Where if you Brad is I love Brad Stevens.
Brett Brown last year.
I'll remember him more as a Butler coach than I will as a Boston Celtics coach. I'll remember more for what he did with Butler and taking on the NCAA tournament.
Rookie NBA coach and obviously put his foot down and said, I got the goods, guys. You know, I'm pretty good here. So he outcoached Brett Brown in that series last year so damn bad. That's what made me kind of think about that. But I don't know. I can't wait for it. The NBA playoffs are just about a month and a half away or so. So
4 weeks.
We'll revisit that. So we're all saying Warriors, who they're going to meet in the East. You can kind of narrow it down.
Milwaukee or Toronto.
There you go. I tend to agree with that. I just think Philadelphia has the best roster. Can they get that chemistry together and manage all those egos? So, all right, guys, it is time to hear from our fantasy football champion from 2018, Nick Pertins.
No.
All right. Are you mad? Is you mad, bro?
David Johnson. That's all I'm going to say. David Johnson. Pertins.
He traded away David Johnson and won the league.
I know. Don't remind me. I was this close. This close. Pat Mahomes. Yeah, you all mocked me for the Pat Mahomes pick, and God.
It is 2020. If I would have got Pat Mahomes instead of Deshaun Watson,
yeah.
But if I had Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill all season long, I would have had a better year.
If I had picked Tyreek Hill, I just didn't want 3 players on Week 12 buys.
No, that's true.
Anyway, all right.
Fellas, Dan reached out inviting me to your MFST baseball league again, but sadly I have to decline.
Thank God. You traded away Aaron Judge for freaking I don't know. What's a player we don't care about? Yoenis Cespedes, something like that.
I'm surprised you remember that. Too many beatdowns of the podcast crew, so you guys could use a break. Ha 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 ha. But in all seriousness, I just don't want to commit to another baseball season with Colton getting bigger. The little guy starting to teeth, and America's pastime is just that. A thing of the past. Ooh, Dan, did you hear that?
Whoa.
It's going there, but I'll be back to defend my football crown and, of course, shock the world in basketball. By the way, am I allowed to curse out Anthony Davis? Brandon, you watch any Memphis Express? The league is okay, but it's rough seeing Mike Singletary look absolutely lost on the sideline, or maybe it was Hackenberg at QB. Later, boys. Nick Pertins. All right, so I don't know. I first wanted to take that kind of first section of the question. Dan, did you read that as is Nick is not really a baseball fan and saying this?
Yeah, that's how I took it. I took it as a dig, not America's pastime. It is America's pastime.
It's always going to be.
I did take it as a dig. I didn't appreciate it.
Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong. Baseball is not exactly the most popular sport in the United States. We'll always credit that to football and Fortnite, but, it's just, I was just saying, man, they're doing competitive Fortnite. I'm trying to get in the game. But anyway, I mean, baseball, it's not my number one favorite sport, but when baseball season rolls around, I mean, the Yankees cap comes out. I'm sitting down, maybe if I was at work at my desk, I'll throw the game on the radio. If I'm at home, I'll definitely throw the game on and try to catch a few innings. They've done efforts to try and make the game shorter, with pitch count clocks and stuff like that. So I would never say baseball will ever leave America's pastime category. It's always going to be. It's a 162 game season. It's the longest running regular season in American sports.
Is the problem. I guess maybe it's a Memphis thing. I agree with Nick. I made the fantasy baseball championship last year, and I swear to God, guys, I did not watch one inning of baseball all year long. To me, I would rather watch NBA Summer League. And to be honest with you, I have watched more NBA every single year for the past 5, 6, 7 years than baseball every single year. So I don't know. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know. I'm just not interested in baseball at all. So I kind of agree with Nick there. So
you guys need a team. That's the problem.
What I wanted to kind of spin this focus in on, though, of Nick's question on the back end, or not really question, just kind of statement there, is some AAF talk. How interested have you guys been? Which is, I miss having Orlando on the show because I think he's been keeping up. He wrote an article about the AAF, but I wanted to kind of get you guys' opinion now that we're almost a month into the AAF season. As what do you think? How interested are you in this league, Dan Schultz?
I watched multiple games week 1. I was in it. I actually bet on a couple games. I laid some wagers. I was like, okay, football in February, I'm down. And I watched it, and I have not watched a minute since week 1 games ended. It was what I saw, at least, was bad football. I mean, it really was. It was, I guess somewhat enjoyable. There were some really good hits, but the quarterback play was atrocious, and that really keeps an offense flowing. There was no run game. Obviously, you can't blitz, so a lot of the things that I like about football, which is game plan and techniques and what the plays defensively and offensively are being called, and how they're matching up in adjustments, audibles, different things like that, are kind of taken away that I noticed in the AAF because of some of those rule changes. Some of them are cool. Like I liked, the instant replay review. You're up in the box with the replay judge. But am I going to tune in on a February Saturday to watch because of that?
How about a March Saturday?
Definitely not.
No.
My March Saturdays are even more filled because college basketball conference tournaments and, of course, baseball starting up. So I thought it was cool, but I didn't like the play. I didn't think it was close to NFL competition. I wish him the best of luck, but I'm not going to watch probably another second the rest of the year.
DDT?
I took the opportunity to kind of look into it a little bit because I didn't even know this was a thing. I had no idea that after the Super Bowl, I was going to, oh, wow, more football? Like, okay, I'll watch a couple minutes. I mean, I like it. I think the league would get a lot more attention if it had more star power. And as we've seen in, reports, Colin Kaepernick has been approached about it. Tim Tebow was approached. I wish he would have gone. And, we have, recently we just saw today the Canadian Football League essentially just ostracized and excluded Johnny Manziel for whatever he did this time. So the AFL might be his next, or AAF might be his next, AFL. AAF might be his next destination. I was going to say XFL because Vince McMahon's got that thing trying to put together. But, I really do think it's a great opportunity, despite the fact that there's bad play, for certain players to kind of shine and have an opportunity to get reps. These could be players that were not making the 53-man roster in training camps for NFL teams. These are guys who could be coming out of college and just don't think they're going to be getting drafted. This is an opportunity for them to get reps, get in playing shape, stay in playing form, learn more on the field, and maybe get a chance to have a walk-on tryout with an NFL team and maybe get on a roster. I do like this idea of having the AAF. I think the play could get better. Hopefully it will. If not, hey, listen, it's football, and we need something to get over the fact, the NFL's over. We have to sit and listen to Patriot fans cheer and boast for the next, 6 months before the season starts up again. It's a good thing to take your mind off of things if you want to still watch football.
I agree with a lot of what you said, DDT. Is essentially it is a training ground for potential NFL. And if they collaborate and make this more like a G League of the NBA, then I'm with you. And the only reason that I am not completely opposed to it is that I do believe it's a good opportunity for guys like our man Brendan Griffin, High Flyer BG, which will be coming on a podcast here in the next week. So it's a good opportunity for guys like that to shine as a training ground for potential NFL contract and to get some little bit of notoriety. But I'm not for football in February and March and April. I'm done. After the Super Bowl, that was the end of real football for me. I'm all for you. I'm more power to you for playing it. I'm not going to watch it because when the Super Bowl ended, that was when the end of football season ended for me. I don't know the standings. I don't know what channel these games come on. There's a team right in my own backyard in Memphis that I don't care anything about going. Number one, because I'm not going outside to watch football after the NFL season in February or March. You can bank on that. And also from what I've seen, the crowds are not good. I just don't think the interest there. And my sport is basketball. I sure as hell am not watching semi-pro football in March and April. That is college basketball time. And they had a really good first week as far as ratings. I think the ratings of the first couple of games were around 2.9, 3 million maybe viewers. That's great. But so were the XFL numbers way back 20 years ago as well. And that league lasted maybe a full year. So you're going to see a trickle off. And the Memphis attendance numbers were not great for week one. I mean, in Memphis, that is, the first game in Memphis. And if you can't get excitement around it in week one, now you're going to have true diehard football fans that do want more football year round, more football, yay, yay, yay. Okay, that's great. But if you have a remote interest in basketball, I don't see you paying much attention to this league at all. You're going to be watching college basketball through March Madness, and then you're going to be transitioning into the NBA playoffs. You're not going to be paying this much attention. And then when the XFL starts back up and you have parallel leagues, parallel semi-pro leagues running at the same time, how is that going to work? One is going to consume the other, or they're just going to drown each other out. So again, I'm all for one of these leagues to survive, maybe the AFL, which may be a more traditional league than what the XFL is going to be, as being a training ground into the NFL, and maybe a G League, sort of equivalent for the NFL. I'm all for that, for giving guys opportunities. Me as a fan, though, I'm just not going to pay attention to it. You see, they've already got one financial bailout, because they couldn't make they couldn't make payroll for the first week. Now, how true a lot of that is, I don't know, but it's still a significant story to me. So I don't see people paying attention to it. I don't see networks buying into this. Now, if the NFL Network wants to pick it up again as sort of a subsidiary, G League equivalent, then maybe it could survive that way. But I don't see long term that any major network is going to give these guys a TV deal, because no one's just going to pay attention to it. So no, I'm not paying attention to the Memphis Express, Nick. I'm sorry. But anyway, but a lot going on. We got the fantasy baseball draft coming up, guys. We'll be talking NBA playoffs coming up soon too, and just everything else coming up. And again, I did mention High Flyer BG will be making an appearance on a podcast within the next week. And all that going on, and other stuff going on the site. So exciting time, and NFL draft time is right around the corner. Dan, Chuck.
Yeah,
it is.
Yep. We're MFST is going to be pumping out the content when it comes to the NFL draft. March Madness, I think, is going to be a big thing, whether it's predicting games and previewing the bracket and different things like that. But MFST is going to be doing a lot of big things coming up in the near future, and we may even be the premier spot to catch DDT's stand up. So I mean, come on now. MFST for DDT.
Gold.
It's going to be, I just want fair warning to all those who are going to listen to this. You've seen me do podcasts, you've seen me do certain things. This is really me coming out, and you're going to find out what my real personality is like. I'm not that Sinbad type of comedian. This is vulgar stuff. But
What is Sinbad? Has anybody actually listened to Sinbad's stand-up?
I love Sinbad's stand-up personally.
Really?
I love Sinbad. Sinbad's one of my favorite comedians of all time.
I like Jingle All the Way, so yeah.
If you ever get a chance to listen to Sinbad or watch him, watch Brain Damaged. It's one of his comedy specials he ever first did. It's phenomenal. If you want to do like clean comedy, I'd follow that format. I am a very Robin Williams, very Bernie Mac, very just inappropriate, Andy Jeselnik, just not I am not suitable for children under the age of 18, unless they're into that type of stuff. But I really am proud of it. I am very honestly honored to have my content be put up there. So I'd love for you guys to devote a section to my comedy bits, and maybe we'll throw Orlando's up there. We'll throw it in the entertainment page or something, and do that.
So if for the folks at home, you actually go, I guess, is your stage name Dil Torado?
Yeah, I'm one of those pretentious pricks that decided to shorten their name to try and sound more appealing to the, future, maybe as Saturday Night Live call up. That's the goal. That's the goal in mind. But
I think you should go by T-Bone.
but no, I on top of that, and just to mention this too, I don't want to just put that. I am starting to go back into writing stuff again. I put out something about the New York Knicks when they traded Kristaps Porzingis. I'm still mad about it, and I was gonna put out another article about the Super Bowl, but I don't think there was really anything to talk about except for the halftime show. So honestly, I kind of threw that out the door. But I'm working on doing some stuff more. Because I've never been one to commit to projects. So I have to offer an apology because I stopped doing my podcast and I stopped doing career mode stuff. And it's just because things got so hectic in the stand-up comedy. And also, I had other projects going on. I was in a band for a little while and we were doing music. I also had a job that was having me work nights, so I couldn't do all the stuff I used to do. So now that that's kind of changed, my schedule's changed up. I'm gonna start getting back into my old habits of screaming at the television at video games and trying to masterfully emulate comedy to a bunch of AARP recipients in all my comedy shows. That seems like all I attract are old people. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys giving me the platform to do this. That would be really, really dope, actually.
Can't wait. Deal Torado. So, Dan, last words for the peeps at home before we get out of here?
Check out the site. Go team. And yeah, I don't really have anything. I'm ready. I don't know about you, but Canisius in Niagara is tipping off right now. So I know you're pumped to see Scott Hitchin. And just side note, not many people will know this, but just so you know, Brandon, I don't think you do. The Canisius head coach kicked Isaiah Reese off the team.
Isaiah Reese saw a story about that. I NBA saw something about that,
and he kicked him off the team. Midway in it through a game, halfway through a game, he just kicked him off the team. It's crazy. It's drama here in Buffalo, but they've actually gone on a winning streak since then.
Well, what did he do?
Game, but yeah,
he might have backed. I heard. Yeah, he said something
detrimental to the team. He was basically just calling out the coach, playing ball hog mentality. It's since we were in Florida, Brandon. It's taken. I mean, they lost all their games in Florida, but they went downhill, and he was no NBA draft for him.
Wow. Oh, play overseas, man. Luka Doncic did it.
There you go. There's a place for you. This may not be with the Canisius Golden Griffs. That's crazy.
Are they a tournament team, Dan, this year?
Well, they need to win their conference tournament. They are tied in first place in their conference. But another thing about the MAC conference, they don't have a team with a winning record. So,
oh God!
There you go.
Oh God!
So you're telling me?
I just thought I'd throw it out there. Oh, maybe they'll get in the tournament. No.
I mean, they could make it if they win their conference tournament. But
I've seen crazier things happen.
They'll be a 15 or a 16 seed play-in team. They won't be much more than that.
Something to keep an eye on, March Madness. So appreciate you guys for joining us here on My Fantasy Podcast. Appreciate Dylan Davis, Torado DDT, a.k.a. Dill Torado on the stage for joining us. And Dan Schalk, my co-host. I am Brandon Reed. Catch you next time. High Flyer BG coming up soon, guys. Later. Peace.